Hi, I'm Louise, and this is the Pilates for Busy People weekly show. In this week's show, I talked to Moyra, an executive coach, about how she brings movement into her coaching sessions. But before we get on with the show, I'd love to know how you bring movement into your day, especially if you're sitting for long periods. Time is usually the biggest factor that stops us doing exercise regularly. But as we talk about in the show, it's amazing how it can clear your mind and refocus you as well. So if you're wanting to bring more movement into your day, check out my 10-minute Pilates online membership. The videos are only 10 minutes long. I'll put some links below the show. So let's get on with the show. So welcome to this week's Pilates for Busy People weekly show. This week I have Moyra on with us, who is going to talk to us about bringing movement into our day in the office environment. So Moyra, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi Louise. I'm an executive coach. I coach leaders and their teams, and I work with them to basically de-stress themselves so that they can calm down, they can get off that hamster wheel and think more clearly and focus on what they really need to improve, which is usually their relationships. And if they improve their relationships, they're going to improve their results. So that's kind of what I do.
So when you go, and it's businesses you tend to go into, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you go into them, where do your coaching sessions normally take place? What sort of environment?
Okay, well, it varies. I do a lot of coaching now on Zoom, like we're talking now. So
Yeah.
I do a lot on Zoom. I do a lot on the phone as well.
Right.
But then I also go to clients. So
Yeah.
I've got a wonderful client. Their head office is a barn conversion in the Oxfordshire countryside, and that's fantastic. But often it's London. So it's a busy office. Sometimes we can be down in the basement in a windowless room somewhere. Fintech companies have some of the worst meeting rooms you can imagine. All over the place, really. I've coached all over the world. I've coached in New York, financial centers like that. So they can be amazing. They can have fantastic views. They can be perfectly set up for a great meeting, or they can be dingy with no light and no sort of fresh air, that kind of thing.
Yeah, which actually doesn't create a very good environment for actually working in or even thinking about things or giving of yourself, does it?
No.
You posted, which is why I contacted you, but we have known each other for a while, on Instagram, one of your walking meetings, and I was like, yes, this is fab. So you do a walking meeting with one of your clients. So tell us about that, and why did you start doing it?
Yeah, I do walking meetings with quite a lot of my clients.
Fab.
I mean, I'm standing here now talking to you, so I'm actually standing up. I find it, I sit way too much, or I'm standing a lot when I'm facilitating or speaking, that kind of thing. So I believe in movement. I know the importance of movement.
Good.
And first of all, it started as a response to really rubbish coaching rooms. So in London, you're never far from an open space. So green space, or even internally, some of these buildings have got so much public space that you can walk around. So I started initially by saying, why don't we just go out and grab a coffee? And that movement to get out, some of these execs have not been out all day, they've been sat at their desk all day, and as long as they're in their same environment, they're not going to be thinking differently. So that's what it started as. But the picture you saw is the CEO that I work with, and he's at this barn, and so we can go out for a walk. And so I always have my walking shoes in my car, because then I know that if I either get a few minutes myself ahead of time, I can take my work shoes off and I can have a little bit of a walk, a little bit of a stretch, that kind of thing, because also sitting in the car, not super fantastic. So, I can feel all of this going on. And so, yes, so that's how I started and why I started. I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you did. So how do you find that they work differently from the ones you do in the dingy meeting rooms, or even in just a normal meeting rooms? What sort of reaction do you tend to get from the person?
Really good reaction. They kind of know that I'm a whole body, whole systems type of person. So I I've got an autoimmune condition myself, and I know that the connection between our emotions and our thoughts and our feelings, it's all connected. Our body and our minds are all connected. So they get used to that. I promote mindfulness and all that kind of thing. So they kind of, it fits with the kind of coaching that I do.
Yeah.
But the results are usually that they are more open more quickly.
Yeah.
And there's something about going in parallel with someone. There's something about just walking along together rather than that sort of very kind of intense thing that can go on. So sometimes it's really a way of them letting off that steam, and then we might sit down, but we've opened the space, if you like.
Yeah.
And literally we've opened the space. You know, we can breathe, and then we can think, and then we can feel.
So, well, one of the things I was going to ask you was, do you think people are more honest? But you've answered that completely. What about their creativity? Do you think that because I know if I've been sitting at a desk for a while and I get stuck on something, I hate it and I need to move. Like this afternoon, I haven't achieved much today, as we know. This already.
Technology wonders.
Yeah, it wasn't on our side. So I just took the dog for a walk, and I feel completely different now. So do you, I'm ready to go. So it's this evening I'm going to be working, but I'm ready to go. So do you find that people are becoming more creative when you take them away from their environment, I suppose, is half the thing?
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think just as you were talking, I was thinking, actually, we get stuck, don't we?
Yeah.
Physically, we get stuck. And I think that thought-wise and everything else, we also can get stuck. And I think there is a connection. I don't think I've thought about it overtly until you started talking about it. And I was like, yeah, that's right. Stiff shoulders equals kind of stiff other stuff. And you just can't break out of it. So I think you're absolutely right. Yes.
So do you find, because have the people that you coach, have they started doing walking meetings in their own environment now? So taking their employees out, doing it? Well,
I don't know for sure. I know that they try and do it more.
Yeah.
The CEO that you saw with the story of the boots, it's a kind of established tradition there. I didn't introduce it. They already had a chairman who also is really into going out and that kind of stuff. So I can't even claim credit for having done it.
You should have done. You should have done.
But wherever I go, I do say to people, let's get out.
Yeah.
And some people are really reluctant, you know. But one of the big teams I'm working with at the moment, we had a team retreat, and then we had all these practical tips that people could do. And several of them committed to moving and doing, some of them have got the mindfulness apps stuff, but other ones have committed to putting their phone away and just going out without their phone, even if it's just for 5 minutes or 10 minutes to get a coffee. So I believe in kind of like the smallest possible steps you can possibly take to make a change.
And actually, and I'll put the video up here, but one of the videos I've already done is with a physio about what happens to our bodies when we sit for too long. So it might be one to show your clients, actually, because it is actually fascinating. Because it's not, we know that our muscles start to, not work as well and not engage as well if we sit for long periods. But the thing that shocked me, because I hadn't really thought about it, was our digestive systems are not working as well because we're sitting and we're hunched over. And if you think about it, it makes sense.
Yes.
So,
yes.
The fact that you are getting people up and out and committing them to do things is fantastic, because I don't think it happens enough. And I've written a blog on there, which I'll link below as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Honestly, I didn't know that about sitting. I knew lots of other things, and I can feel it as I'm getting older, just feeling like everything shortens and tightens up when I'm sitting down. So I used to have a Fitbit, don't have one at the moment. So I try and set the alarms when I'm working at home, because I have no idea where the time goes or how fast the time goes. And suddenly I've been sitting for X length of time.
Yeah. And that's
today, because it's the end of the day and I haven't stood up properly,
And we're all guilty of that. I am, even though I teach, but we're all guilty of that. And it is so important to bring movement into your day. So as you know, you come and join me on a Thursday with my 12.
When I can, otherwise I watch the replay.
On my Facebook page. So I do a desk to stretch for just 10 minutes. But also, it's just, as you say, setting your alarm every hour or so, and it should be every half an hour really, but getting up and moving is so important. So I think it's really, really fab that you are bringing this into your working environment and to getting people to think about it. So please, please keep going. And I'd love to hear from anyone that is doing that in their business or thinks that they should. But the other thing I was going to just pick up on, you said some people are resistant to doing it. Why do you think that is? Is it because they're traditionally their work environment is that they work from 9 to 5 or whatever and they sit at the desk?
I think it is. I just think, I think there's a lot of work practices are just really old fashioned. And so this idea that you are literally chained to your desk, or that you can't be working if you're not at your desk. I think that sort of old-fashioned Victorian sort of idea just hasn't gone away from lots of companies, and it's permission, really.
Yeah.
So often a lot of it is just saying to people, you need to give yourself permission.
Yeah.
And you can use me as an example if you want, but once people start doing it, they realise that they get more out of it themselves, then they're more likely to start doing it. Once they start realising what that does, just from an emotional standpoint, they suddenly realize, oh, I feel a little bit less stressed. I just try and get them to pay attention to the shoulder to ear.
My armpits.
Yes, you talk about armpits, but I just noticed that most of them were going around like this all the time.
Yeah, and most people carry their tension here in whatever they do. And that's one of the worst things. So yeah, again, desk to stretch on a Thursday at 12:30. We talk about armpits all the time, and you need to come and watch the desk to stretch now to understand what I mean about armpits, why I keep going on about them. So
and what I love about your desk to stretch is that you can literally do it by your desk.
Yeah,
I've got a really small office, it's really crowded. I often in work togs about to go out somewhere, and you can just do it. It's not something that needs anything special, and that's what I really love about it, because it's really easy.
And ultimately that's what we should be doing in the offices. I've got a friend actually who now in her office they do it every day. They just use the old recording, so that's fab. But anyway, I think it's really good, and I'd love to hear from other companies or other people that get up and move during the day, or if you don't, then you need to really start thinking about it, because it is such an important thing in our lives. And the risk of sitting has become the new smoking, basically, and we know what that was like. So it's about looking after ourselves, and we're the only ones that can do that. So brilliant, and well done, Moyra, for doing for talking about it and doing it is the main thing. That's great. So we'll put some links below, so if you want to contact Moyra and follow her on social media. But thank you so much for coming on today, Moyra.
Thanks for asking me, Louise. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this week's show and are going to give yourself permission to move more in your day, even going out for a walk. If you enjoyed the show, then please do subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on next week's show.